Okay, so we are here today to have Q&A with Travaé. We have some questions that were submitted, and so we want to go over those questions. But if anybody has any input, if you want to add to the question, if you need some elaboration on the question, feel free to jump in at any time and share those thoughts. So the first question that we got was, what do you do when you've fallen for someone and they only see you as a friend? Been there on both sides of it.
Wow.
And so my number one thing, first and foremost, is to pray for guidance and revelation for both parties. And I say that because you may be turning your attention towards someone who may or may not be who God has for you. I always, being that my background and my spiritual conviction is one that relies on Jesus, I always lean towards the Holy Spirit. I lean towards God and biblical teachings for guidance. And so when I say pray for guidance, I mean I need God to line things up for me. If this is my person, I need him to show them and show me. I need him to allow things to line up so that we can see each other in that light. And so that we can have a successful relationship, because if they're seeing me just as a friend, there's a certain barrier or a certain wall that they have kind of placed up as a boundary between us that's limiting us from being able to transition into that relationship. Also observe them, watch them in different settings with different groups, meaning they may behave differently as a friend than they would in a relationship. And so before you really decide you want to enter into a relationship with this person, you need to see how they behave. Not just that they're in a relationship with somebody else and you're trying to feel that out, but just like the relationships between them and their parents, the relationship between them and their friends, just see how consistent they are with how they behave around different people. Next, I would say, and this is not in chronological order, these are just tips. And so the next thing that I listed was express your feelings after you have fully accepted any possible response, meaning they could say, let's try this thing out. They could say, I will never see you that way. They could say any number of things. And so you need to resolve within yourself that you're okay with their decision. You need to respect their wishes because they have free will. Again, in the Christian faith, Jesus says, I stand at the door and knock. He doesn't force himself on anyone, and neither should we, regardless of what you have to offer. And that being said, don't allow their preference to define your worth.
Wow.
Every good person is not a good fit. It's not a God fit. Right. And so just because you're two good people, you have similar interests, does not necessarily mean that this is the person for you. And that's okay. That doesn't make them a bad person, and that doesn't make you a bad person. That does not mean that you are worth any less. That does not mean that they don't see you as a good person. That just means they have a different preference, and that's okay. We have to be okay with people having that free will.
I hope y'all are taking notes.
Man, these are great. I'm loving it. I'm loving it.
I hope so. And I'm praying that, God speaks through it, because I don't like to lead people wrong, but these are things that I feel would be helpful. Another thing would be distance yourself if you can't peaceably remain friends. And the reason I say distance yourself is because usually the person with the feelings, over time, those feelings just continue to grow,
Right.
But if you can kind of distance yourself, then that gives your heart a little bit of time to heal, because nobody really likes rejection, even if it's good for us. And even if we know that they have free will, just give yourself some time. And I don't say distance yourself as in discontinue the friendship. If y'all are able to work things out as friends, that's great. Go for it. But if you're not, give yourself some time to heal and to grieve what you had hoped would happen that didn't.
That's good.
The next thing would be to show, and again, these are not in chronological order, but show them a different aspect of who you are. Because if they're just seeing you as a friend, they may only be seeing one side of you. So you got to take the risk, not all at one time, because that vulnerability, you want to save that for later, kind of ration it out, so to speak, and for that right one if they don't turn out to be the right one.
Man, that's good.
That is.
That's good. Can I interject?
Absolutely.
I know you. I mean, you're flowing, and I hated to stop you.
Look, you were perfect because that was my last one. Go ahead.
Good. I mad because I was about to bust.
I'm about to say he was quiet for a long time.
He was doing so
it's
good.
so hard. It was so hard, but I was like, yeah, she flowing. I did not want to grieve that Holy Spirit at all. I was listening to the question, and I go on the foundation that that every good relationship starts with a friendship, and I also believe that a lot of relationships go wrong because they did not have a solid foundation, and when things got rocky, they didn't have anything to hold on to. It was nothing there solid. So when I hear questions like that, and of course, I mean, without knowing all the detail, I know it's hard, but I think, a solid friendship is going to be a great building block for a relation, a relation, if it goes that way. Now it could be, some things that's hindering or whatever that we just don't know. But I always just looked at the fact that, and I'm not saying, just because they're your friend, they make a good, long-time relationship. But I will say that, or I am saying that if you started that relationship with a solid friendship, then it's going to be something that can carry you on over those stormy times in your life. I ask people this. I say, how many best friends do you have? Or I got one or two. Well, how long y'all been friends? Oh, just about, all my life. Then I say, well, how many boyfriends have you had? Well, I can't count. But I do that because I want them to see the difference between what a good friendship look like, and or just saying, well, hey, I got a boyfriend or a girlfriend, and it was just based off of something superficial, because once that leaves, then you don't have anything, and that's why you can go in and out. But that solid friendship, it's sustainable. Y'all can get mad at each other, but you always come back. Why? Because you say, well, no matter how they made me feel, no matter what they did, that's still my best friend. And then you can continue. And then I'll tell you another thing, and I'm done. You can see that play out a lot because, like with me personally, I'm not I don't talk to my friends all the time. If we did once a month, we're doing great, But when we do talk, it's always good. You know what I'm saying? As if we talk every day because it's a solid friendship. It stood the test of time. So I just want to interject that.
And that's absolute facts. It should be founded on friendship. Because like you said, when those hard times come, I mean, you still got to like each other. I mean, my husband and I check in with each other all the time. He'll, one of us will say, you love me. And the other one will say, yeah, you like me? Yeah. I mean,
I said, that's another story right there.
It's just a little check-in that we do because we're friends first,
Yeah.
and the romance and the love developed from the friendship. Absolutely. Now, like you said, friendship doesn't automatically bring about a romantic relationship, but it definitely is a precursor to a successful relationship.
Absolutely. Yeah. You said it a whole lot better than me. So, that's all I was
No,
trying to
no, you
say.
look, we not gonna take away from it. Look, I can't just because my candle is lit don't mean yours ain't too. So
That's right.
Well, I appreciate
All our
that. I
candles
love
are
it.
lit.
I love it.
Yeah. I think one
and
thing we do is we tend to skip over the friendship,
mhm,
especially when we see someone who we've connected to. It's like we want to go straight for the romance. So just like Eric was saying, we don't build that foundation
mhm,
that's
mhm.
needed. And I know that a lot with women. I know, well, I could just speak as a woman. I know we do that a lot, you
We
know,
do.
because I guess because we're emotional,
Mhm.
so we see a guy that we like and we're like, oh my God. And after the first date, we're like, oh my God, he the one.
Yeah.
Don't know nothing about him.
And I
This
think
is
that,
true.
I mean, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong, because I never really thought about this, but when you said it, I wonder if this is where you get the nice guy always finish last. You
Mhm,
feel that? It's
mhm.
like he's that one, or another phrase that you hear, like, a women, and I'm not saying, I'm just saying things that's pop in my head, like, okay, the good guy she don't want, but she chases after the bad guy,
Mhm,
and
mhm.
and now none of that could just be wrong. I mean, but it might be something to that.
I think we get comfortable in familiarity,
Mm,
whereas other people might bring an excitement.
mm,
Because the girl next door could be your girl, but she's familiar. She's the girl
yeah,
next door. And so I think a lot of times we overlook our friends because they're familiar.
right.
And then, like Tiffany was saying, we sometimes rush into a relationship because it's exciting. And so I think it could go really either way.
Right. Yeah, exactly right. And the end that, how at the end of the day, you use that term, free will, and that's important because, um, that each party has every right to invoke their free will, and just because just because one person is saying, hey, you know um I see you as a friend, or I only want you as a friend, that really doesn't have anything to do with the other person, or like you said, that doesn't lessen how your value. And I think that's really key to understanding is, um, it may be, I don't want to use the dodge bullet, because I don't, because nobody has to be bad. You know what I'm saying? But I
Mm-hmm.
will say that just because you feel that it should go further doesn't really mean it should go further. And
Exactly.
sometimes the timing could just be off to where, just give yourself time, give the
Mm-hmm.
situation time. And maybe that person, the other person is going through some personal stuff that you really don't even know anything. Maybe she's
Mm-hmm.
doing you a favor because you're like, listen, mentally, you do not want to go deeper with me
Mm-hmm.
because I'm not there yet. So that's
Mm-hmm.
why, I loved how you brought in, the discernment part of it, because we need more discernment in our life, because
Mm-hmm.
we cannot continue to lean on our own understanding. And
Exactly.
I'm a big advocate for vetting. Listen, I want to go back to the old school, sit you down
We
in front
count
of my
sitting.
daddy and vet. I mean, my kids, I vet, I vet,
Mm-hmm.
I vet.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Mm-hmm.
you're
Well,
gonna,
I would call that
you
vetting. I would call
uh,
it something else what you be doing.
is it that bad?
Oh, it's needed. It's needed.
It's
It
I
is.
feel
It
it
is.
needed.
Yeah. And I,
Now,
and and I agree. And I think like you said, dodging a bullet as far as they may not be ready. Um, but it may be aspects of you that may not be ready and you don't recognize it. I mean, either way it goes, it may just not be the time, or it may not ever happen. But
Right.
you need to be so secure in yourself and your worth that regardless as to whether it happens or not, that you're okay.
Absolutely.
Because again, nobody likes rejection, but we can't always see things as rejection when really it just might not be a good fit.
That's
Yeah.
it. And everybody be okay with that. You know,
Mhm.
when you have got over into adulting, then you're gonna realize
Maturity, yes.
that maturity.
Yeah.
that,
And then,
you
I mean,
know,
if you're friends, I believe that you should still be able to weather that storm because
We
right.
should.
nation that's already been built. So if you're really friends, you'll always be friends.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I love what Travaé said about just stepping away and not necessarily disconnecting completely, but taking that time, to heal. And then it also gives you opportunity to reevaluate,
Mhm.
Right.
Absolutely.
where you are, come to a sense of self-awareness. And then
Mhm.
also to know, okay, am I really reading this right? Or am I really feeling this way? So it really gives you an opportunity to kind of step back and look,
Yep.
Absolutely.
because when you're in it, you're in it,
Absolutely.
That's it.
Sometimes we just need that moment to refocus and get some clarity.
That's
Um,
it.
It's true.
And so before I move forward, I did want you guys to state your names because everybody in the group might not know who you are. So before I go to question number 2, just say who you are. Like I said, I'm Travaé Griffith.
Okay, and I'm Eric Kirk.
And I'm Tiffany Newton.
All right, awesome. And so the next question says, are gender roles necessary in modern society? This has been a hot topic for so long. But
Wow.
here's my take. Now I'm gonna tell you, this is my opinion. Okay. This is my interpretation, my opinion. I own it. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. If I'm right, I'm right. But this is just me. But I say yes and no. And the reason why I say that is because there are certain things that God assigned and certain things that culture or society assigned. The Bible does say that men are supposed to protect and provide, to negotiate, to lead, to love, and to sacrifice. Now, whatever that looks like in your home is what it looks like. It says that women are supposed to respect, assist, delegate, organize, manage, contribute using their skills and resources. But again, how does that look in your house? Because there may be areas where I'm stronger. There might be areas where my husband is stronger. And we don't want to wreck the boat just because we both want to play captain. You know what I'm saying? And so whoever is stronger in that, again, in my opinion, whoever is stronger, more skilled, more disciplined, more educated, whatever it takes to fulfill that duty needs to be the person that does it. And like, okay, so for example, my husband does all of the cooking, not because I can't cook. We both can cook, but he enjoys cooking. And because he enjoys cooking, it's less of a burden, for both of us. And when he cooks, it lightens the load on me so that I can do something that he might, would normally do, but I can do it now. And so we're both happy because we're able to do something that we're good at and enjoy doing.
Good.
That can contribute. Also, without an agreement or some type of order that works for your household, where duties are balanced, appropriate, based on skills and strengths, is going to implode. What worked for mama and them may not work for you. What works for your best friend may not work for you. Again, a lot of the things that have been assigned are culturally appropriated. They're not necessarily what the good book says, what the Bible says. Again, this is me speaking from my Christian beliefs and from my own convictions. But most of what you see in the Bible, you've seen men tending to the children as well as cooking. You've seen women selling in the market. I mean, that lets me know that a lot of things were allowable, but if culture in that time didn't allow for it, then certain things just didn't happen. And so, like I said, do what works for your house. Do what you both agreed upon. You're both coming from two different backgrounds, but and you'll bring a little bit of that into the relationship, but that doesn't mean you have to hold steady and fast to that, the way that things were in somebody else's house. You make your relationship and your roles and your duties what you want it to be, because at the end of the day, y'all have to function like a well-oiled machine. And
Right.
nobody can make those decisions but the two of you. Another thing is teach each other so that neither one of you is handicapped by ignorance. And when I say that, I mean, if my husband was to die today, God forbid, and please don't take him, I need him. If he was to die today, or if I was to die today, I need to know, and he needs to know, we both need to know that the house can run and it's not a burden, because you know what to do. You're not going to be so lost and discombobulated that you end up losing the house, or you end up, you know what I'm saying? I can pump my own gas. I can change my own tires, you know, and he can cook a meal. He can help the kids with homework. Like, if something was to happen to either one of us, God forbid, we both have experience, whether we act those roles out on a daily or not. So teach each other. If your spouse doesn't know how to budget the checkbook, teach them, you know. Should the role of, and this is moving on to question number 3, but it ties into question.
Hold up, Travaé. I gotta stop you, because
Go
I
ahead.
need you to repeat that last what you said about ignorance.
Okay. Teach each other so that neither of you is handicapped by ignorance.
And I thought that was so good.
Yes, yes.
I
Yes.
mean, because I think so many couples, instead of being in collaboration with one another, they're in competition with one another.
Absolutely.
And so
Absolutely.
we're not able to be in a position to teach or to learn, you know, because they're like, well, I know how to do that. Why you got to show me, you know? So it's like one of those things where, I mean, you can't be in partnership with, you know, because you are going to stay ignorant, and it kind of reminds you of, I mean, of course, you know, we represent, I look at the family, you know, representing the body. So if a part of the body is not functioning the way it should, you know, it's going to fall apart, or it's going to hurt. There's going to be something going on in that household that's going to go lacking. Because it's not functioning the way it should. So I just had to interject that before you moved on, because that was so good.
You know, that really is, both of those points are good. You know, I when I hear that, you know, I hear harmony, and I believe agreement brings about harmony. And I believe that regardless of how or what, you know, society, you know, says about gender role or whatever the case may be, I believe that when two can come into an agreement, that agreement would create harmony in the household. So the key is connecting with someone that, you know, that agrees with what you agree with. And then you're gonna have harmony. And you know, so if I was asking that question, I would say yes or no. You know, but it would be on the lines of you simply saying, what is it about? What is it that you want? Because I can't answer that question for you. But I will caution you: do not connect with, you know, if you're a man that wants traditional gender roles, do not connect with someone that feels that differently, you know, because it's going to be chaos. You know, I think the best thing that and I'm thinking about young couples out there, any young couples out there, I want you to listen. I'm talking before you even get married, young couples, have those conversations up front. I mean, I don't care if it takes you, you know, 5 years before you get, whatever it takes, exhaust yourself asking all of the questions, because once you say I do, it's a done deal.
It
But
is.
so find out those deal breakers beforehand, so you'll know that you're big. And I'm gonna end with this. Don't think that it's gonna you can live with it. Don't think that that's not a big deal. I don't really like this, but I'm gonna do it because I love him or her. No, it magnifies.
Look, I was
As
just
soon as
about to
you
say it.
say
Marriage
I do,
magnifies.
it's gonna
Marriage
magnify.
magnifies.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
I mean, pay attention to it now.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
And
important.
so, go ahead, Tiff.
I was saying that's why it's so important to be truthful
Mhm.
Yes.
in the beginning
You,
and not think
yeah.
that, just like Eric said, it'll get better
Mhm.
after,
You
or
you
that's something
definitely
I can do.
right, right. You definitely have to be transparent. You have to be open. And piggybacking off what you said, Tiffany, about there being competition, sometimes there is a fear of, I've invested so much into you that I don't want you to take what I invested and give it to somebody else. So sometimes we don't want to teach each other, or we don't want to invest because we're afraid that the marriage is going to end and somebody else is going to reap,
My.
all that we've sown. And
That's
like,
scary.
And you're not all in.
You're not. You can't be.
you're not, but a lot of times people are not. People are entering into marriage so carelessly on one side, but on the other side, it's like they're dating for decades, trying to figure out if this person is the one. And I'm not knocking long-term relationships, but what I am saying is, if you take it that seriously, take it to God. Find out what he says about it, and don't waste time. When I say don't waste time, don't give all of your good years to somebody if you don't want them to have the rest of your life.
Wow.
That's just my opinion again. But also, like Eric was saying, I say when I'm counseling people all the time, premarital counseling, marriage magnifies all the good qualities, magnified, all the bad qualities, magnified. Whatever is there, it's just gonna be bigger.
Yeah.
Right.
So
You're gonna see it every day.
every day,
You
cute
better
and ugly.
you better know you can deal with that snoring, because once you say I do, it's gonna be the loudest snoring you ever heard.
It's gonna magnify.
It is. It
You're
really
like,
is.
man, did he turn the volume up? No.
And then now he extra comfortable.
Right. Oh man.
I'll be like, we better go see somebody.
Okay, look, ENT doctor. We
Right.
gonna check something out. A sleep apnea. I don't know what it is going on, but we gonna check
We're
it
not
out.
doing the separate bedrooms. That's what they used to do
Oh
back
no,
in the day.
we not Rick and Lucy.
Bedroom.
No, we.
You're not
I
doing
love
the
Lucy
separate
can have all of that. And so the third question that was submitted was very similar to the second question, which was, should the role of man or husband be redefined? If so, explain why. If not, what is your definition of a man? Now, in my response to question number 2, I defined how I see a man based off what the Bible says a man is. And like I said, that's a protector, a provider, a negotiator, that's a leader, that's someone who's commanded to love and to sacrifice. So no, I don't think it's really been redefined. I think that we have tried to redefine it. And when we say manhood, I don't think that is specific to necessarily what you do around the house. I don't define manhood that way.
But that's how a lot of women define manhood.
A lot of them do. And to each his own. But y'all have to be in agreement with what that looks like. Between you and your spouse. But again, my definition of what a man is to me, and what I look for in my husband, what I expect from him, is based on what I gathered from the Word of God. Whatever your beliefs system is, it needs to be based on that. I mean, because that's the thing that's going to stay constant. That's the thing that's going to stay true. Because if my husband gets injured and he can't do some of the provisional things that he used to be able to do, to me, that does not make him any less of a man. And say, for instance, he lost his job. That's a temporary situation. But again, that does not make him any less of a man for me. And so, again, provider, protector, love, negotiate, sacrifice, those things are what make a man to me.
So let me push back on you as a man.
Absolutely.
So we are, I love the question. But we're challenged a lot. We're tested a lot when it comes to that area. I'm hearing you, and you say that doesn't make you a man, or if you lost your job, then you still a man. Am I right? Okay.
Yes.
But what if you lost your capability to? I mean, like, okay, I'm paralyzed. I can't. And I'm just saying that because I know you paralyzed, you still can make money these days. Okay, but what I'm saying is that when we start looking at the traditional role, I want you to kind of look at it and say, what if I can't? You know what I'm saying? Whatever that reason is, I can't. Maybe, so now, society told me that if I cannot provide and protect, then I'm not a man. So how do you handle, okay, you're telling me that these are my qualities that I must have, okay? But what if I lost those qualities? So does the opposite happen to me? I'm not a man no more.
Well, and that's kind of what I'm saying, regardless as to if something happens, I still see you as a man. If the desire to provide is there, I still see you as a man, like, versus somebody who just doesn't want to work, or just doesn't want to protect, or just doesn't want to, do the things that they have been commissioned to do. I think if the desire is there, if the effort is there, if the intent is there, again, I still see a person, a man as a man, if he's still, willing to provide. But to me, provision is not just financial. And so, yes, you might have lost your job or lost your ability to do something. But if you provide for me in other ways, you're still a provider of sorts. If you protect me by being faithful to me, if you protect me by making wise financial decisions, if you protect me, from somebody bad mouthing me, if you protect me in those ways, to me, I still see you as a man, whether you, in a wheelchair or bedridden, whatever the case may be. I just, that's the way I see it.
I want to pull up something. You said something, and this is something else that I was going to post, but I hadn't got around to it. Now, this is a screenshot. I know y'all can't see it, but this is a screenshot of somebody's post. Okay, now this is actually I'm gonna say somewhat of a famous person. Okay, but when I read this, it wasn't really so much as this post, but the comments was very surprising, especially coming from, this is her fan page, okay? But she said, when a woman has a man that takes care of her physically, emotionally, financially, spiritually, that's when you're going to get the best version of her. Just know a woman is the reflection of how you treat her. And if you don't like how she's acting, look at how you treat her. Okay, now so that's cut and dry. The comments was bananas. The men was pushing back on that. The consistency was, what about my feelings? And what, because the thought was, okay, we have to do all of this. So what are you going to do? Now, her response was, I'm going to give you whatever you want. You know what I'm saying? But, it's one of those things, once again, as a man, you have this pressure. And I'll be honest with you, I really want to say most men takes this and we're going to say, you know what? Hey, this is the life that God gave me. Let's roll with it. I'm ready to go. I want to say that, Travaé, but what I'm afraid of is that this is why we die at the rate we do, compared to our women counterpart, because we live with this pressure to perform, and it really can be unbearable, but we have to take it, so.
Well, and I'm really glad that you brought that up, because part of the curse in the beginning was that you would have to work hard. And to me, that was not just limited to the workforce. That was overall in life. But God knew before all of this even came down that you would need a helper. He never intended for you to carry this whole load by yourself. So it's not for women to just, ride along and be the prize. In my eyes, we both the prize.
Absolutely.
I love him, he loves me. I'm trying to be a blessing to him and he's a blessing to me. And the Bible also speaks about a woman being a man's favor. I can't be your favor if I'm a liability. I can't be your favor if I'm a burden, And so in order for me to be the helper that God designed me to be, I have to be an asset. I have to be one who assists. Even in the Bible, when the Proverbs 31 woman was a merchant woman and she was selling goods for the good of her household to benefit, not just so that he was just out there doing all the negotiating at the gate and carrying the full load. No, this woman sold purple linen. She sold things in order to lighten the load, in order to assist. Now, she might not have been the primary breadwinner. She might have, who knows? But the whole point is we were never intended to do this thing by ourselves. And even though woman was created later, if you look at how God created things, he created the creatures male and female from the beginning.
Right.
And so that lets me know that was the intent, but women were human women were specially created for human men to assist and be the helpmeet, so that you all don't have to buckle under the pressure, so you don't have a shortened life. But we're supposed to bring you favor. We're supposed to lighten the load, and we're supposed to do it and not grumble about it. We're not supposed to do things begrudgingly. We're supposed to do things out of our love for you, out of our reverence for God, out of our respect for you.
That's good. That is good. That's good. That's good stuff. Man,
it's important for us to be with the right person.
You got, again, and that even goes back to that friendship. We bend over backwards for our friends. Uncomfortable, late at night, whatever the case may be, we show up for our friends. Your spouse is supposed to be your friend, your best friend.
Yes. And that, and see, you can recognize, and that's why, once again, when you start looking at failed relationships, if you're willing to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and go say about your best friend, but you won't go pick up lawn, cleaning, or whatever, well, you're seeing an out of balance relationship, and it can't really survive that, and that relationship, that husband and wife relationship, should be, okay, do I want to go hang out with my best friend or hang out with my husband and wife? I choose my husband and wife, because because you enjoy that. And no, it's not to say that you can't go hang out with your. I'm just saying, if I had to choose, we have such a friendship to where it doesn't matter. I'm not lacking anywhere, you know.
Exactly.
You know, so that's how I look at it. It's supposed to. It's. I mean, it's a joy. It's a pleasure to be here with you. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I feel the same way. So, Tiffany, did you have anything before we move to the next question?
No, y'all doing good. I'm just enjoying this conversation.
Me too, man. Me too. I can't wait to get the video because I want to watch this over and over.
We know we're gonna be seeing some posts on it.
Well, hopefully it'll bless the ones that weren't able to get on too. So, so the next question was, how important is open and honest communication to the success of marriage? So, open and honest communication builds trust, and trust is a foundational necessity for a successful marriage. Open and honest are not synonymous terms. That's why in the court of law, they say, you know, they tell you to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, because deception by omission is dishonesty. And so then too, you want to use wisdom to determine when, where, and how you should disclose the truth if it's going to be a hurtful truth. And all communication should be seasoned with grace, and it should be respectful, but most importantly, it should be preceded with prayer regarding your own delivery and their reception of the truth. That just kind of sets the primer. And ignorance is not bliss. You know, we like to say that, but it's really not, because you rob people of their opportunity to choose. People have the right to make an informed decision. And if they choose to stay, forgive, or whatever, it makes it even more sweeter, you know, even sweeter. It makes it even more durable when they have decided to stay in spite of. Again, this is if you're sharing a hard truth. And then the saying, ask for forgiveness rather than permission, does not take into the account the long-term effects of lost trust. I don't know if you ever lost somebody trust, like your parents, like it's hard to get trust back. You can't put toothpaste back in the tube. Like, it's hard to get that trust back.
To rebuild something instead of what you say, Eric? What is it? The maintenance? And
it's easier to maintain a relationship than repair one.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Hashtag the truth, power too.
Put the plug in there, brother. Say it again. Go ahead, Eric. Say it one more time.
Hashtag the power too.
And so then my last 2 points were, truth always comes to light, whether it's now or later. And it's better that they hear it from you first rather than them becoming a mockery if somebody else discloses the truth, whatever that may be. And then make sure that they are emotionally and spiritually ready to receive the truth whenever possible, because sometimes you got to go ahead and get it out there, but you need to make sure that they're in a good place. You don't need anything to set somebody over the edge. And it's hard to be ready for some things. Some things are just what they are, but the truth is always the best response.
That's it. Listen, you said don't make them a mockery. And I laughed with. Now, someone told me this. Now, I don't know if it was a setup or she was really telling the truth. I don't know. I did not test it. But she said, if I would rather, if you cheat on me, then let me know, because I can deal with it better than you have me out here looking dumb. I mean, it was something like that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's nothing like having somebody dangle the truth over your head
Yeah.
and you be the one that's out here, you're the faithful one, or you're the one that's, putting all the money in, whatever the case may be, whatever the betrayal is that's taking place, I, as your spouse, should not be the last to know.
Right. Right.
I should be the first to know this, so that we as a team, because that's what we're supposed to be, we as friends, we as partners, should be able to work through this, so that by the time it finally works its way around, oh, I already knew that and we good.
Yes. Yes. Can't nobody
You're not
come
telling
to
me
you.
nothing new.
Yes, man, that's powerful. You come and you think you finna give me this bombshell, and girl, I already knew that. I already knew that. And that, I think it's a difference. That it doesn't justify anything, but at the same time, I can see how, it's an added hurt to be the last person to know. Or for me, especially when I think about like in a husband, wife situation, marriage situation, I'm going around saying I got the best husband and he's do this and he's that, and everybody in the salon's like, man, that dude is,
Right.
I mean,
Right.
it's like, I mean, at least let me know so I won't go back to that salon. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And then the other people that do know, like I said, can hold it over you.
Yeah.
Say, for instance, again, if it was cheating or something like that, that other woman has an advantage. You've put me in a place of disadvantage. You've put me in a place of dishonor when she knows something about you that I don't know, because I'm your best
Right.
friend. I'm your spouse.
Yeah.
So it's all, even if it hurts you to tell the truth, because sometimes the truth hurts. But again, as we say, the truth shall set you free. It will set you free and it will set them free.
Yeah, 'cause
Your
she's leaving.
spouse, we she
She's
might
gonna
not
be-
leave. She might work with
she's
you.
gonna be free as a bird. She's gonna be gone.
Hopefully not. But I can work with honesty a whole lot better than I can
Right.
work with somebody that's
Yeah.
lying to me. Because one thing about it, I may know that it was hard for you to tell the truth, but I feel like if you told me the truth, I can trust you to be more accountable than if you just keep on lying about it.
Right.
Man, that's good. That's good. I feel that.
And I definitely think that, when you get to the place where you can tell the truth, you can begin to heal.
Absolutely.
Because you
Yeah.
can't heal until the truth is out there. Yeah, it's not going to happen right away.
It's
Right.
not. It's not.
Because
And
a lot of things
some
have
people
been
feel like,
broken.
go ahead, Tiffany.
No, I was just saying a lot of things have been broken, so you have to rebuild, that trust.
Exactly. Exactly.
So no, go ahead, Trey. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, thank you. So when it comes to trust, I think about like what comes first, the chicken or the egg. What, I'm in a situation, I did something wrong, I know that it's a fear. I'm gonna lie to you because I fear the repercussion. I fear you leaving or something like that. But where do it start? I mean, what did I fear? Was the fear created? And then so throughout this relationship, you showed me that I cannot trust you, or I mean, because what I'm thinking is that if it was an atmosphere of open communication, then I can do something, and I know that we're going to sit down and talk about it because this is how we have operated in the past. So if that's true, then it kind of takes away the whole cheating aspect. So why do we feel a need to cheat if we can just be honest about it and talk it through? So what happened?
I think it's hard to be honest regardless of how good your communication is. It's hard to be honest about something like that because that is almost like the ultimate betrayal in a marriage. You promised yourself to me. I promised myself to you. I'm holding up my end of the bargain. You betrayed me. You let me down. You broke your promise. Now there are a million different promises you probably have broken in your marriage, but that one is a violation in that we are tied. Our souls are tied. And so when
Absolutely.
you bring somebody else in there, you tie them in. You know how
Right.
Jada called it an entanglement. Oh, okay. So now we have an extra knot
An
that shouldn't
entanglement.
be there, and it's going to take a lot of effort. When you have a knot on top of a knot, that's a
Ooh.
whole that's real hard to untie. That's real hard to break. And so, regardless of whether you have a good relationship beforehand, it does help that you have a good relationship beforehand, but it does not negate the pain that comes with that betrayal, because then you start to question, well, why did you cheat? And to
Right.
be honest, from what I've seen, they don't cheat because the person is better. They don't cheat because they look better. They don't cheat, they cheat because it's something different and it's something exciting. We tend to get bored. We tend to get complacent. We tend to get comfortable and familiar when it's somebody that we have been with. And, we could be going on regular date nights. But if somebody else shows them just a little bit more excitement, sometimes people will go over there. But you also have to know your triggers. If you're tired, if you're hungry, if you're frustrated, if you whatever the case may be, you have to recognize that within yourself and say, hey, I'm not going around Sally's office today because, I might not make a wise decision. But that comes with your own convictions and your own self-awareness. And like, say for instance, your spouse has a type. You may or may not be that type. So when their type comes around, the issue is not attraction. The issue
Right.
is entertainment. It's not about what you're attracted to. You're supposed to have eyes. You're supposed to see what you see, but you're not supposed to entertain, those things that are forbidden. Just like Eve in the garden with the fruit, it was there all the time, and
Right.
it looked good the entire time, but it wasn't until she entertained it that she actually sinned. So let it be what it is, but I mean, I don't take away anything from a gorgeous woman, and I don't expect my husband to take away anything from a handsome man, and I don't intend to disrespect him by entertaining this other man, whether it's by his looks or whether it's by his actions, whatever the case may be. I choose not to entertain it.
That's the choice. That's right. That's good. That's good. The I tell you that this is mind blowing, eye opening. This is really good stuff, man. Really good.
It is.
Awesome. And I appreciate you all's input, because y'all have brought up some very valid points and, spurred me up even more. But I really, really appreciate you all's input. I appreciate your attendance. I will share this. And so, those that were not able to make it, they will be able to look back at this. But that was our last question that was submitted.
Oh,
And
okay.
so until next time.
It's so good.
Yes, yes. I'm sitting up here
Yes.
trying to think of something else right quick, but I don't want you to go. Look, I'll if I post a question, just know, well, you know what, I'm just tag you in. I just do it in the group.
That'll work. That'll work. We'll add it to the list.
Right.
But yeah, so that was the last question that was submitted. Those were some really great thought-provoking questions, things that I feel like a lot of people probably can relate to in some way. And so until next time, I really appreciate you guys. Hopefully we'll get some more questions. If not, I have some frequently asked questions that we can go over next time. But I really enjoyed it. Thank you again for your input. That was Eric Kirk, Tiffany Newton, and Travaé Griffith. Thank you guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.